Hi guys, and welcome back to the world of 28mm. I'm Adam, and this week's episode we're going to be finishing off the Bates mansion. We are going to start out by building the substructure. It is made up of 15mm blue foam and 3 sheets of 5mm regular polystyrene that have been cut into the rough shape I want the mound to be. I'm gluing them down with PVA and a few small blobs of hot glue. Using the hot glue ensures you can keep working on it while the PVA is dry. Time to install the stairs. I placed the stairs on the foam and draw around it using a pencil. Once I was happy, I hacked out the space for the stairs to sit in with a hobby knife. You do not have to be precise with your cuts, as later on we can blend them into the foam. Once I was happy with the placement, I then trim up and remove any harsh corners from the polystyrene with a hobby knife. This is an important step as you will clearly be able to see them when you have finished. The top piece you will notice has a piece of cardboard glued down to it. This is so I know where the mansion will be, and for another reason that we will explore later on. Once all the sharp edges are removed, we can use some 200 grit sandpaper to smoothen everything down. The next step, I'm going to cover the whole thing with Sculpt Mold. It is a mix of plaster of Paris and tissue paper. It is mixed 2 parts Sculpt Mold to 1 part water. Once you've mixed it, it should resemble that of cottage cheese. I then cover the whole diorama with it and use it to blend the steps into the foam. This is also where the piece of card comes into play. The mansion kit came with its own base. The base had a 3mm recess that would seat the house securely. As I am not using the base, I cut a 3mm piece of cardboard so that I could build the sculpt mold around it. This would ensure the 3mm drop in the sculpt mold so the mansion would fit snugly with a bit of blending. Once you have all the Sculpt Mold down, you can then go in with a wet finger and smooth any areas you want off as it is drying. In this case, I smoothed out the pathways around the house and stairs, apparently using my tea as water. Next up, we put a base coat down so no white is showing through, and paint carefully around the steps. For this, I'm using a colour match of Steel Legion Drab for the mound and Barely Black from Wheel Coat for the car park. Next, we will apply ground covering. For this, I'm using watered down PVA and brown grout. Apply the watered down PVA, then sieve the grout through a strainer or a sieve. Work in small sections at a time to make sure the PVA doesn't dry out on you, and not to apply the grout too thickly. Make sure to clear away any excess grout from the steps and anywhere else you don't want it. For the car park, I am gluing down chinchilla dust. Thank you to Kathy Millett, it is perfect for this scale. Once that is all down, we can then seal the whole thing with a spray of Flow-Aid and some watered down PVA. Any pools of PVA can be soaked up with a paper towel. Now we get to add some life to the mound. Using the static grass applicator, I am laying down patches of 4mm autumn static grass. Remember to stipple the PVA on to avoid uniformity. Because of the angle of the terrain, the static grass was landing at a strange angle. I resolved this by running the empty strainer over the applied static grass, causing it to stand up straight again. It did mean as well that I didn't have to tease the grass around to make it appear dishevelled. Give it a quick hoover so nothing sticks where it's not supposed to. To add depth to the grass, I sprinkle on some plain sawdust flock, black sawdust flock, knock yellow and red leaves, some dried herbs and some coconut fibre. Try to avoid hot spots when applying this. Next we add shrubs and bushes using lichen, clump foliage and broken up sea foam. Keep the stalk from the sea foam as we can use it from dead branches as well. The seafoam is put into place by poking a hole in the plaster with a toothpick, applying glue and inserting the seafoam. Any bare patches of dirt on the sides were covered with a dead scrub mix from Serious Play. I then used the same mix to blend the mound into the scrub. Once you are happy with it, we can seal it all in place with our flow aid and watered down PVA spray. To define pathways around the house, I am using some Vallejo burnt umber pigment. I am initially drawing a path with the brush. When I'm happy with the placement, I can go back in with a clean brush and blend the pigment out, leaving a more natural look. To add some more depth to the grass, I added Vallejo light ochre pigment over the tips just to create some colour variation. Then I add more foliage to cover up any harsh grass lines, sealed in with watered down PVA and flow aid. I wanted to dust up the windows slightly, so I added some light ochre pigment to the insides, then used a clean brush to wipe any excess away. I dressed the roof to blend it in with the base foliage. After it dried, I gave it a wash with some Agrax Earthshade. Don't paint the wash on, just drop it in and let the flow aid do the work. With the house glued down with some latex glue, we can blend the mansion into the base. Here I am dropping some grout in between the mansion and the Sculpt Mold, modelling it with a clean dry brush, then using a pipette dropping some flow aid and watered down PVA into it. My flow aid wasn't working properly, so I ended up just spraying it with flow aid, applying more grout and using a pipette to apply the PVA. And there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Sorry if it's a little bit longer. I just figured that, I'd give you the whole build in one video rather than spreading it out. Don't forget, if you want to watch these builds live, you can follow me over on twitch.tv/KirbyReeves. The description, link in the description below. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.